Let's bring you your top stories on the brief, shall we? Another day, another protest, but this time it's not about the security situation, really. It's over insecurity in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, as residents of Godingora community in Chikun local government area blocked the busy Abuja-Kaduna highway over the killing of one person and abduction of several members of the community by bandits. Now, the angry residents, visibly angry, really, barricaded the highway with stones and human shields and prevented outbound and inbound commuters from passing through that road, and insist that the government must find a lasting solution to the lingering insecurity in the area. However, the intervention of a combined team of soldiers and other security operatives brought the situation under control.
If you see they are gone, shooting, big gun, 3 hours, they start around after 11. More than half hours, and NEPA took lights. After they took the lights, they come bring the lights. So we don't know that if you can't cry to anybody, we need to cry to here. So we want government to listen to us. What we need from government, we need security.
RPG with machine gun, and they said Nigeria is their own, that they can kill anybody. So we need the governor here. Either they give us military base, or they legalize gun, because we can shoot the gun. They don't have 2 heads. They don't have 3 heads. We are ready for fights. If the national government cannot protect us, if Nigeria cannot protect us, we can protect ourselves.
Immediately we received the information, troops moved to the location, and that is how they came in contact with the bandits, and that is how they were able to also rescue some of those that were taken. And as we speak, I said troops supported by other security personnel or operatives are trailing them.
Well, while we follow that situation, let's tell you that the Senate has directed the police to recruit 10 from each local government area, and it appears there'll be another round of police recruitment, 7,740 in all, and that's if that directive by the Senate in the upper chamber is anything to go by. So the senators, essentially yesterday, they asked the Police Service Commission and the Nigeria Police Force to recruit a minimum of 10 candidates from each of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, and not on state's basis in its annual recruitment process. The upper chamber gave that directive during plenary after a motion moved by Senator Emmanuel Udende on the need to adhere to the federal character principle in the recruitment of constables into the Nigeria Police Force. Take a listen.
Concerned that the recruitment on the state basis as against local government areas, as initially contemplated and adopted, will lead to disproportionate and lopsided recruitment.
Direct the Police Service Commission to, in conjunction with the Nigerian Police Force, to recruit a minimum of 10 candidates from each of the 774 local government councils in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, operatives of the Nigeria Police Force and the FCT Command have paraded 3 suspects whose area of specialty is said to be car snatching and robbery in Abuja and environs. The Commissioner of Police, FCT, Mr. Ben Igwe, while parading the suspects, says operatives of the FCT Police Command on February the 16th, acting on credible intelligence, arrested 3 wanted car snatchers. And according to him, the suspects are members of a 4-man gang who specialized in interstate car theft and snatching, and come into the FCT, perpetrate their heinous acts, and take the stolen vehicles to Port Harcourt to sell.
I am glad to inform you today that due to our continuous efforts to fight crime and criminality in FCT without fear or favor, I am glad to show you that there are 3 people so far we have picked up who are involved in this business of robbery. Either they remove from where parked or they rob it outrightly. We have 3 of them here. We have Junior, David, Godwin, he's here. We have Paul Taju, And we have Alishi too. You can, if you go there, you will see their instruments, especially the one we describe as the master keys. About 9 or 10 of them were recovered from them. We have recovered 5 hillocks so far taken away by these hoodlums. They are all there, and several other vehicles. The vehicles totaling are now 9 we have so far recovered.
Well, away from security now, another means of transport is being added to the Lagos mobility infrastructure. And the color this time is red. Well, the new train service, which is known as the Red Line, is the second to be launched in the state after the Blue Line, which was commissioned last year. Well, the inauguration of the project, which was done by President Tinubu, has been described as proof of a commitment to improve the nation's infrastructural development.
I stand here very proud to say that the Lagos State Strategic Transport Master Plan that outlines what those integrated rail system stood for, which are 6 rail corridors, 1 monorail, 14 BRT corridors, and over 20 water routes on vast network of what is today the tiniest, smallest state in our country called Lagos State. We are indeed happy that that master plan is alive, is working, and all successive government, from my brother, Baba Tunuraji Fashola, to my other brother, Akim Ambode, and to our humble administration, have kept faith with it. For the first time in the history of Lagos, we have a system comprising and integrating 3 modes of transportation. The road, which is the BRT that we're using, the rail, which is a rail master transit program, and the waterways through the statewide ferry service. Every day, millions and millions of Lagosians cross this integrated urban transportation infrastructure.
And the President Bola Tinubu, then seized the occasion to address the Nigerian Labour Congress on the protests and the ultimatum given to the federal government, saying the union is not the only voice of Nigerians.
I agree. Smugglers will fight back. Corruption will fight back. We will fight them to ruin. Corruption will go away. We have a governor in hope. And I'm standing before you, clinging to that hope, assuring you, I believe, that Nigeria will be out of economic problems. So you just need to persevere, work hard. Be assured. Allow me to throw a jab here. The labor union, you understand that no matter how much we cling to our freedom and rights, to call for strike within 9 months of an administration is unacceptable. If you want to participate in the electoral process, wait on the 2027. If not, maintain peace. You are not the only voice of Nigerians.
Shortly after that speech and the inauguration of the Lagos Rail project, the president then headed to Qatar on a 2-day official visit said to be on the invitation of the Qatar Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Well, the president arrived at 11:35 p.m. local time, and according to a statement by a special advisor on media and publicity to the president, Ajurin Gilali, the visit is to further strengthen cooperation between the two nations in several areas.
Excuse me, I will put the security.
President Bola Tinubu arrived in Doha, Qatar yesterday. Now, back home, if you're looking forward to the much talked about constitution review, then you'll need to wait for over a year at least. And that's because the first draft report of the ongoing review will be ready in August 2025. And that's according to the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who made this known at a news conference held at the instance of the House Committee on Constitution Review. And the committee, at its inauguration, gave a 24-month timeline for the conclusion of the whole exercise.
We are pushing to ensure that in our activities, that in no distance time, the first draft of the work we are trying to do on the Constitution will be ready. But this will be subject to the approval of the work done by the subcommittee. But let me mention that our target is that the first draft proposal of the Constitution will be out in August 2024, first draft. So our target is that transmission of bills to Mr. President for assent will take place August 2025. And with this, we are sure that our target to get this job tidied up in 24 months will be achieved if we send it to Mr. President by August of 2025. We are hoping that by December of 2025, we will have a constitution that is fully amended.
Let's talk business now. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it is working with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to establish a comprehensive framework to address volatility in the foreign exchange market. Now, the CBN's Deputy Governor of Economic Policy, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, made this known during a crucial strategic dialogue session with international investors. And according to him, the framework allows for identification of the cause of volatility and immediate intervention by the Apex Bank, as a CBN. And outside of the country, the Russian government says it will introduce a 6-month ban on petrol exports from today. And that's to ensure essentially that it has enough fuel to meet domestic demand. And despite being the world's third largest oil producer, Russia has suffered sporadic fuel shortages since last summer amid high demand and repair works on its refineries. The wholesale gasoline prices have risen since the start of the year, a problem exacerbated by repeated Ukrainian drone attacks on oil refineries. Well, let's now talk sports. One of the biggest stories, France star Paul Pogba says he is sad, shocked and heartbroken after being banned from football for 4 years for a doping offense. So a 30-year-old Juventus midfielder was actually personally or provisionally suspended in September after a drugs test found elevated levels of testosterone in his system. Well, Pogba says he believed that the verdict was incorrect and he would never knowingly or deliberately dope while adding that he would appeal. Well, anti-doping prosecutors had called for the 4-year ban to be imposed on the former Manchester United midfielder who tested positive following Juventus' opening match of Italian Serie A season against Udinese on August the 20th, during which he was an unused substitute. So, yeah, another controversy for Pogba. We'll, of course, continue to follow that story. But that's not all making the rounds this morning. Let's now head onto the social media space and find out what you are saying about the major trends and the top stories this morning. Bukola joins me. Bukola looking sporty this morning.
Just as you are, I decided to go your way by looking for my tennis, and I got my...
So she haunts me with that.
I finally found my tennis.
She haunts me with that.
Not as fine as yours, though.
Bukola, she just does that. She calls it tennis.
That's what we called it in secondary school.
So she deliberately just tries to taunt me with that particular term. But major stories making the rounds this morning.
Quite a number, Kayode. And, you know, going through some of the contributions of our esteemed viewers this morning, they're unexpected and profound, giving cause for reflection. Let's head right into them. You're talking about the charge of the president to the NLC yesterday when he said 4 strikes in 1 year of the lifespan of an administration is too much. Starting with Dr. Constant, he says, Labour is the peaceful voice. Listen to them. The other voices are not so peaceful.
There you go. So those are some of the things you are saying right there. And let us know. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief. That is a handle to use so we can get your thoughts out there. But that's not the only one that we have for you. You see this one from Dagunduro Olalikon saying, at this critical time, the so-called labor union leadership needs to support the government of the day in turning the fortune of the country around, not calling for what he describes as incessant strike or protest.
And Leadercraft says, obviously, which proportion of Nigerians are they really fighting for? Who has their struggles benefited in recent times? They've lost the narrative of being at the side of the people to being at the side of politicians and political parties. Well, see what I said about reflection?
Yeah. So that there you see. Yeah. That's the one from Leadercraft. Let's go to the next post on this. I know there have been mixed feelings about the president's statement yesterday, but it looks like we're increasingly seeing more people saying, well, maybe what the president says makes sense. But of course, some other people saying you have a freedom to protest, right to express yourself. But again, another person, and this one is Frederick, says he's very correct. Labour represents less than 20% of Nigerian workers and even less of Nigerians. They cannot presume to speak for the generality of Nigerians. The numerous uncalled for strikes have achieved what really? Your thoughts?
You know, Kayode, recall there was a time you drew my attention to the number of unions registered under the organs of labor, and you'll be, you know, quite surprised at some of the unions that you find registered. So labor is indeed representing a vast majority of Nigerians. Remember, there is an association of conductors that you pointed out to me. You know, as registered under the labor union. Some you would not
even expect. Really.
Yeah. So labor is fully representative. This one is from G. Pogsy, and he says, is there a particular time frame for when to declare a strike? Why don't you listen to the cry of the people and see how you can bring down the food prices?
Alrighty.
Instructive question there.
So those are issues that we'll, of course, be looking at on the show this morning. But also, the president during his speech talked about corruption. You heard that earlier on our top stories, saying how corruption is fighting back, but they will fight back as well. And Leadercraft at Mayokon on X says this. Very good and impressive speech that's coming from the president. Thanks for the great efforts. Corruption must be fought till it's ruined. The ruination of a corrupt is at hand. Mayor consents.
We hope not, and it certainly will not happen. The opposite of that is the expectation of Nigeria. The ruination of corruption.
Yeah.
I thought I had the ruination of the nation.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so the next one is from Isa Aliyu, and Isa says, this is motivational, and I hope PBAT, that's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will walk the talk. Nigeria needs a leader ready to take the nation to enviable heights. May God bless our dear nation.
So there you go, some of the comments on the president's speech, but keep them coming. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief. I know it's always a controversial issue, fighting corruption, and some people say, well, look inwards to begin with. Let's talk about corruption in governance and deal with it even close to you, really. But that's not all. There's this conversation about the directive, really, on the price of, is it cement, essentially? So President Tinubu directing Dangote, Buhari, others to revert, is it to old price? And you can see this one from Wahala Man. I hope your post is not Wahala this morning. Wahala Man says, why not open the borders to foreign competitors? Let's see if Dangote and Buhari will survive.
Well, your favorite says, you can't tell them to do that if they will run in loss. Well, run at a loss, I'm sure he means. Fix the economy and things will balance itself. It's not about commanding other progress business. Well, true to Wahala Man, really, the factors of production will not bend to presidential directives. So it's inadequate, really, to tell the manufacturers, to revert to the old price when the realities, are not as friendly. So
we need to really break this down. But you see, Francis Igbo says if they bring down the price of cement just because of what he said, then I'll take it. That they intentionally inflated the price of cement. So that's like a controversy, or like a dilemma, I should say, right there. But Binance, yet again. All right, let's go to Binance now, very quickly. Dr. Olawale Ogunlano says, I hope we know Binance is not the problem. Though, if we have an economy that produces for its consumption and for export, instead of relying solely on imports, our currency will have strength against any currency. When we're done beating around the bush, we will face the problem. So Binance yet again, of course, is on the news, and we understand that even more officials or more of these crypto platforms might be called in to have a conversation. Do you need to open your books? We need to get more details. We've seen this happen in other clients. But of course, the process needs to be followed to the letter according to law. So that is not the only thing. Yes, it's a big deal. But remember, Governor Alex Otti had an interview on our sister program, Politics Today, yesterday. He said a number of things. And one of the things he said is that the federal government printed too much money. We've heard that a lot, but then he re-echoed that particular point, and I think he's trying to link that to the current economic situation, particularly the freefall of the Naira. You see Mr. Buchi Anthony saying, that's too bad, and we're not even seeing the printed notes. You have to say that. Well, the notes are not in the ATMs anymore, Kari. I wonder if you've noticed that as well. There is a second exchange rate besides the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar. That's a POS. 20,000 Naira to 400 Naira. That's sad. And, that should get the attention of the CBN also. This is from Maji Idris. Entire policy seems towards crippling our economy and return to import-dependent economy. How else can you explain? And he lists it. Gross Naira undervaluation, floating of Naira, 22.75%, huge increase in interest rates, excessive printing of the Naira. The above won't enable recovery. There you have it. Whoa. Too much money chasing too few goods. Absolutely. We've seen the inflation figure. So those are the issues that you were talking about. We'll go to a quick break now, and when we return, we'll begin with a big one for the day. NIN, BVN, those are the buzz terms. Add bank accounts to it, and withdrawal ban. Yeah, that gets a lot of people panicking. So all of the confusion, the anxiety, we'll deal with that on the show this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.